What's up guys, welcome to another episode of KoS Fishing. If you've been following me on social media, you know what this episode is all about. This is the recap of my best catches for 2019. Now in 2018 I did a recap and I put my top 10. 2019 I'm going to keep it to my top 5 catches. Don't want to make the video too long, I want to keep it interesting for you guys. But I do have some close calls or runners up that just didn't make it. I'll tell you those just before I reach number 1. Also, at the end of the video, I'll announce who won the competition to guess what my top 5 were. They win a KoS hat and a pack of dairy cows. So let's get right into it. Starting off with number 5. This was my PB freshwater fish in Trinidad and Tobago. Check it out now.
The bait is a big bait, so it had to be a nice size one like that one to actually take it. Oh, yeah. Big one. Big one. See if I can bring this one up. Real big wolfish. Whoa. That is my biggest wolfish ever. What the hell? Alright guys, I had to get my fish grips for this guy to show you properly. Look at the size of this wolfish, guys. Yeah, a little dirty. That is what you call a big wolfish. Big to my elbow. Wow, it's a 2-pounder, easily 2-pounder. This is my biggest wolfish ever.
Now that was number 5. I mean some people might be surprised, but it was my biggest freshwater fish in Trinidad. It was my biggest wolfish I've ever caught. Also, I caught it on artificial. Now I never even thought you could catch wolfish or wabi on artificial until Zizi introduced me to that kind of fishing. So I mean, it was pretty cool to catch it. This was a solo mission by myself. I don't think anybody ever in history ever threw artificial in that river in that particular spot. So maybe I was the first person to do it, and actually I ended up catching my biggest wolfish ever. So that's why that had to be in the top 5 catches of 2019. Wolfish on artificial. Now going right into number 4. You know, artificial bait fishing is my number 1 kind of fishing. This is a fish that I've caught before, but never got on artificial until this year. So check out this footage now.
Pass me the fish.
Oh my god, that's a monster!
Fish. Big one.
Yeah, why not? What do you next guy? You have to line, Joel. If you can bite some wrong. Nah, man, he won't allow you both. Let's go swimming right there. You dog out. What do you want? Look fresh, I didn't fish too much, fellas.
Yeah, I'm going to move my line from my end so you won't get hungry.
Nick, where you there,
Yeah, there's a nice fish right there.
Yeah. Nicky, right here, Nick. Right here, Nick. Right here, right here.
Nicky, right there.
Right here.
Nice one.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my god.
So that was a mahi, a dolphin or dorado. It was my biggest one I've ever caught, just about 10 pounds, and I caught it on artificial. Also, that was a kind of special catch because, you know, in that trip the water was very rough heading out there. Fishing started off slowly, and we came up to the buoy, and I put myself together and I made a cast under the buoy, a couple of jigs, and I was hooked into that fish. And I think that fish is what brought all the other fish to the boat. I ended up catching 5 or 6 mahi in about 5 or 6 minutes of chaos. I have that video up, you can check out that video. So that was my biggest mahi and I caught it on artificial, so it had to be in top 5 for this year. Number 4, that was number 4. Moving on to number 3. Most people would have guessed this. I mean, it's a pretty easy one to guess. It was my biggest fish for the year. Also how I caught it play a part in it. Check it out.
Yeah, when he did good on the right.
Ready?
I think I got hit. Yeah, fish.
See what they here, the sick here.
Yeah, don't worry.
Nice, that's What's up? Hey, drive off out of
If two people had.
I can do it. Go say it. Go swing running. Yeah, you did tell me to go back. Break back, I tell you to get one of the bell boys. We go kill them, KoS. We go kill them. Yeah, but fish. What you say to that dog? After that dog. Woo! Watch it. Watch it. Watch it. Watch them beasts. That's what they call BG power. KoS. BG power. I'm gonna say about 25, 30. We don't over exaggerate.
So that was the Almaco Jack by the rigs with Captain Dillon of Ocean Explorer Charters. That was number 3 because it was my biggest fish for the year and also the biggest Almaco Jack, and also I caught the biggest fish I've ever caught jigging. Now jigging is not something I've done a lot, but it's a type of fishing I really enjoy. So I have my own jigging setup, my Daiwa BG6500, my extra heavy Tsunami jigging rod, and I also bought that particular jig that it took after I learned about that brand from the captain in St. Vincent with Little Tipsy Charters. So I got one similar to it, dropped it down. I think that was the first drop at the new rig we pulled up to, and I was hooked onto that beast. The fight took maybe between 12 to 15 minutes, and a back-breaking fight. That fish pulled harder than almost any other fish I've ever pulled, but I managed to get him to the boat. So amazing fight, awesome fight, and that's why that fish is at number 3. Okay, so moving on to number 2. Now, no one guessed this in my top 5 catches 2019. I don't know why. Maybe they forgot about it or just didn't consider it. But this number 2 fish was definitely one to remember, and it just got beat out for number 1 just because I know what number 1 was. But this fish, you can check it out now and you'll see why I'll talk about it after.
Just hit him again. It could be a nice fish. Good size fish. Oh, grouper. Alright, scoop him. No. Hey, wait. I caught him, so I will get to release him.
A nice fish, boy. Let me hold it. You hook right.
Alright. Goliath grouper, critically endangered, so he's going to be released. Ellie, just come on.
Endangered species, so we have to release it. Don't be greedy, guys.
One more look.
One more look. Pretty fish. There he goes.
Biting onto my finger right now.
Trying to release him, but he's biting his finger right now.
He doesn't want to go. I feel he would love to stay.
Come on, it's for your own good.
Stop biting.
Stop biting his finger. It gone blank.
That's right.
Oh. Hey, think biting the man, why? Serious thing, why?
Ah, yeah, mama. Hey, let go of my finger and go
Think I
away, boy.
lockjaw, boy.
Bring him back here. Let me see.
Goliath grouper with lockjaw.
Alright, now we go in.
And there he goes. Well done.
Now, number 2, that was a Goliath grouper caught on hand line using a live catfish as bait. Now that's number 2 because I can't even remember the last time I caught one of those. I think it's maybe almost 10 years ago, maybe 8 to 10 years ago. And I managed to get this one on a hand line using the traditional catfish, live catfish as bait. So it made it all the more special. So I don't really get a chance to fish for them often. We have the boat, but we don't really target the mangroves much. So like I said, the chances of catching them is quite rare. There are also not many of them left due to overfishing and a lot of them being killed out in that particular area. So you don't get them very often. Maybe for the year, the crew might catch 3 or 4, and that was just the one that I managed to catch. That was definitely worth the number 2 spot. I also got done my new handline caster that I rigged just for fishing in the mangroves to target the big snapper, possible grouper, big tarpon. And I got that. I think that was the first trip using it, and I'm catching that grouper. So number 2, Goliath grouper. Now before we get into number 1, I have a few honorable mentions which I'm going to be showing you now. These honorable mentions are one fish that just missed out the top 5. Quite a few people guessed it because they were pretty amazing catches, but they just didn't get into the top 5 for me. In choosing the top 5 is not just the fish, it was also the circumstances in catching the fish, and also, you know, what it took to catch it, artificial, live bait, etc. So that's how I narrowed it down to the top 5. So the honorable mentions goes like this. Number 1 is the first ever largemouth bass that I caught in Florida. I've never caught a largemouth bass before, and this is just a random stop at a pond next to a mall, and I decided to give it a try. In about maybe 10-15 minutes I fished for, and I caught my first ever largemouth bass. So I cast a swim bait out, and maybe 5 to 6 casts, this fish took it, and I was quite surprised, but I managed to pull it up, and an old LMB.
Guys, I caught a largemouth bass. Random stop at a lake behind me. About 5 minutes. Second one, first one fell out. So going to release him now. Largemouth bass, wow.
Another honorable mention was this fish right here.
This could be your Akando.
This is a chairfoot salmon, we call it. We caught this with Captain Tallman. The day was almost Steve Gomez. The fishing was hard that day. We caught a lot of fish, but most of it was small. And this was close, winding down to the end of the day. On a hand line again, and I managed to hook up to this really nice chairfoot salmon. I think it was probably my biggest salmon. Probably, yeah, I don't really catch much chairfoot salmon. It was probably one of the biggest. So that's why I classed it close to the top 5, just didn't make it. The last honorable mention is my biggest ever carrot, which was caught on a kayak with Zizi. Now, this was on a kayak trip out of 5 islands. Yes, we kayaked out of 5 islands. This carrot right here that you're seeing is my biggest carrot, caught on artificial. I mean, a lot of people catch carrot or Spanish or mackerel, but not many catch them on artificial. So this was a pretty amazing catch. I think this just missed out on the top 5. This might have been number 6. So check it out.
I put on a slightly bigger bait. Yozuri, 3.5 inch. Black back. Casting a mile with this boy. Fish on already.
You have him?
Yeah, boy.
What the hell bait?
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, your notebook? Yeah, your notebook there? Yeah, your pen and paper first?
Yeah, boy. Right now you dragging me, boy.
No, you dragging. The anchor down, the anchor down. Dorafin, the big it.
Big. We just do him to cut. Coming by you there. Grab it here.
Open your bill.
Grab it here.
Open it there.
It open. I tell you can't fit in your cooler. Oh yes, nice carrot, guys. Retreat.
What a wonderful catch to KoS world.
So that was the honorable mentions. Now going on to number 1, most people would have guessed it. Almost everyone would have guessed it. If you didn't, well, you've not been watching the channel lately. But this number 1, well, I could know. Well, take a look at it here. You'll see what number 1 is.
KoS, big snook. This squad. They might have rocks on me. Wait this, you see a jump? That's a big snook.
Watch it.
Huge. Just now, KoS.
Just now, mate. Just now. Hold him right there. Hold him! Oh my goodness!
Monster.
Dog, I know change that in a second.
Why do I see a snook come up here and they down the fish and see the fish?
Big one, guys, the biggest snook of my life.
Have we got videos there? Don't go in too deep, dog.
This
is it one more time, KoS.
Ready?
Where's it one more time?
Oh,
monster.
Watch yourself, Snook Master!
Watch yourself.
I see the snook come right there when they don't hook the fish.
You can put it on the water, so.
You sure?
Yeah, just a piece of paper.
So obviously, guys, number 1 was the big snook that I caught in Tobago. It's number 1 because Well, it's the biggest snook I've ever caught. It's more or less one of my dream fishes. A big snook was always a dream fish. A big snapper, Kubera snapper, is also a dream fish. A big tarpon of the beach is another dream fish. So that's like the dream categories of fish, and this snook was right up there in the dream fish. And that dream became a reality. I love to catch snook, especially because they are so aggressive and they like to take artificial. You know, I love to fish artificial bait. I love shore-based fishing. That's my number one kind of fishing. Also light tackle fishing. So all of those things combined, as well as the setting where we caught it on the beach with the squad, it was probably the most amazing fishing experience of my life, and that I think is the best catch of my life. So it obviously has to be the best catch of 2019, don't you think? And also with that catch as well, it was the perseverance that paid off. After fishing for 2 days without getting much luck, this was the third and final morning. Last hour and a half of fishing, the last 5 to 10 minutes of fishing, switched up lures, I managed to hook this snook. So it was number one, not only because of the fish itself, the artificial bait, the setting, but because mainly of the perseverance and effort that it took to catch it. As I say, always keep fishing, never stop. So guys, that's my top 5 catches of 2019. I hope you enjoyed this compilation video. I tried to keep it to 5. I don't want to stretch the video too long. And I thought those 5 were really deserving of a top 5 for my 2019. Who knows what 2020 holds? Hopefully I could, have an even better top 5 for 2020. But fishing is fishing. You never know if you catch anything at all. And you always have to be thankful for anything that you catch. Now the winner of the Hat and the Dewey Carls, it was a pretty close competition. I mean, no one guessed the 5 complete. The most anyone. A few people would have guessed 3 out of the 5. Jack Dale, he guessed 3 out of the 5. Shazman guessed 3 out of the 5. King Adrian Jr. guessed 3 out of the 5. And Nicholas Balkaran guessed 3 out of the 5. And then 3 out of those 4 people who guessed 3 out of the 5 also guessed an additional 1 they carried. So that was who was just outside the top 5. So all of them were kind of equal. But the one that was a little bit above the next 2 was Nicholas Balkaran, because he guessed the mahi-mahi, the AJ, and the snook. The other 2 guys, they guessed the wolffish, which was a lower ranking at number 5. The mahi-mahi was at number 4. So I have to give the prize to Nicholas Balkaran. So congrats, bro. Send me a message on Facebook, Instagram, comment below. Send me a contact number and I'll link up for you to get that hat and that pack of DOA cards. Thanks to everyone who entered. I appreciate it. Always appreciate everything that you guys interact with on social media and on channel. I always appreciate everyone who comments, likes, shares, especially shares the videos or the content on social media. It's what helps me out the most. So please continue to share the videos as much as you can. So thanks for watching this episode of KoS and Fishing. Hope it wasn't too boring for you guys. And the next videos to come should be pretty cool. So stay tuned for them. So if we don't see each other again, most likely we won't, because I don't think I'll be posting before the end of the year again. So I wish you guys a happy new year, all the best for 2020. Please continue to keep watching the channel, keep supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot, and always keep fishing. Fish on.
We got one! Big male!
I spot him.
Well done, Bing! First crab caught, guys. Yeah, nice one, boy!